This is my third and perhaps last part for a while of the San Diego photography series. I have 10 more pictures today, which spread out over the three parts is 30 total. I have a lot more than that. I might add on to it at another time. This picture is Ocean Beach, um, back in the back part of it. That in the background back there by the water where you can see those little waves, that's the dog beach. It's an off-leash dog park beach, which is pretty interesting, I guess. Of course, I didn't have a dog with me, and there were dogs. Apparently, that there's some health dog health issues that can happen there. Some local on a bus told me that, who owned a dog and goes there with his dog, but I'm not exactly sure what he meant. Maybe, whatever, communicable dog diseases or something. But it's a nice area for people too. You can go down and swim, and that's just part of the whole coastline area. Ocean Beach is a nice little area itself. This is Seaport Village, one of the buildings. Off to the right, there's the main entrance that has a sign that says Seaport Village on it, and there's this little shops. I was there like I go everywhere. I was there early, so a lot of things weren't open. There was some shop in there that sold nothing but socks, and I looked around in there a little bit, and there was a carousel in there, like an old carnival carousel thing. And but it was just getting ready to run. So I guess I was there about mid morning. It would have been later morning. There would have been more going on here. But it's a nice little area. There's even what the subway, really the train, the metro train there. There's a whole stop just for the Seaport Village. So it must be fairly popular. People were going there. And off to the left here, there was a wide open, like, bay looking area type thing. And that little park, you can see that green grass. That park, a lot of people were walking around there and on those trails and stuff. There's some monument there of maritime monument type thing. But that whole white wall you see in front of the building of the Seaport Village, that goes on the other side of that, there's this walkway, paved walkway, and that goes all the way down, long ways, all the way down probably to the Maritime Museum, even where the ships are, or at least for a long way. It's a promenade you can walk on, not like some cities might have a boardwalk. Well, this is a paved. This is the tar walk, going from Seaport Village down to points further south. Speaking of the Maritime Museum, here is another boat, the Star of India. This is probably their premier old ship that they have at the Maritime. Although I think the HMS Surprise that the Master and Commander movie was filmed on is more interesting because I'm some kind of movie buff or something. But this one, it used to be a transport, more of a luxury type boat that actually took people around the world. Back in those days. Inside, you can go see there's quarters, stateroom quarters where people slept in the all going around a big open part that's down inside, and in the middle there's the skylight thing, and then a big table. So I guess they'd all have the communal meals in that middle area, and then there was a lounge area a little bit up front, and then they'd go back to the meal area, and then everybody had their own little cabin going on. There wasn't a whole lot of cabins, so this would have been more exclusive. Maybe, I don't know how many passengers, but each one would have had their own room. It definitely wasn't like a overcrowded type thing or anything. But Star of India, they have plaques and stuff telling about the history of all these things. I just don't recall each and every little, fact of its existence. Also in the Maritime Museum, one of the things you can get to in the little gangplank is, in this picture, this is the inside of it, you're on a little plank and then you have to go down these stairs, and you're actually under the water when you get to the bottom of the stairs inside this old submarine. It was the USS Dolphin, it was called. I think it was in service until either went into service in 1966, mid 60s, and went out of service in the 90s or early 2000s. I think that's what it was. Or I was going to say it went out of service in 66, but I don't think that's correct. That's when it started. It apparently had some kind of history. It one of the first submarines that sent like some kind of signal somewhere, but they had developed some radar thing or something. But real cramped in there. You can see the little bunk areas, and there's the kitchen, and people would be living in these things for a long time. Definitely cabin fever, but under the water, submergible cabin fever. But but that's just like the control room. There's a little periscope thing, like you've seen in the movies. Periscope up, periscope down, and the main seat there, I guess, was the control thing. I don't know if this submarine had warheads or anything on it. It probably had torpedoes. But there was a little kitchen area and just one little table with like you'd be in a restaurant. There'd be a booth with a bench on either side. That was the entire area where everybody ate and played cards or whatever. That was also their entertainment center. And then there was a sleeping bunk things. There was only like 2 bunks or 3 to save room because the people who were working one shift wouldn't be sleeping. And then when they were off, they'd eat. The other people would be working the controls and they sleep in shifts, So, yeah, I would have gone completely bad-eyed nuts in there after about 2 days. So a little teeny bit ways down from the Maritime Museum proper is the USS Midway. This was a real, U.S. battleship. And there's some planes up there on top, so maybe planes could take off there too. I could have gone on that easily. I even walked up to the ticket counter, but when I looked up, saw all these people climbing up these little gangways and stairs to get to the different levels, and I had my rolling, travel backpack roller thing with me. It's like I just didn't feel like messing with it, and just a few feet down the road were some other things to see. This is I don't know if this is north or south of the Maritime Museum, but all that stuff is just on the edge of downtown, right there, centrally located. But I got a picture of it. It's a lot of cities have decommissioned war vessels and stuff lying around, but since the United States Pacific Fleet is stationed off at Coronado Island or wherever it is in the San Diego area, these old battleships like this become perhaps more important or something. Okay, this picture is very interesting. I was walking toward the USS Midway, and I turned this little bend in the promenade walkway thing, and then bam, this thing is there. It's tall. You can see the people standing next to it. So it's way high up in the air. And that is a statue that was rendered or made from based on that famous picture that was taken when World War II ended on a V-Day, Victory Day, in Times Square in New York. I think it even might have been on the cover of a Time magazine or something like that. The next issue after the official end of the war, and that would have been the end of the Japanese war, I guess, after we dropped the bombs on Japan. Not a great memory, but that's totally that picture done in statue form. So, and then just to the right of that is the USS Midway, and just to the left of that, down the walkway, is that Bob Hope memorial thing, statue scene that I had in one of my other videos. So all that sort of centrally located, and there's plaques and stuff. So, but that's unique. I did not see that coming when I turned the corner. I'm like, what is this? This is on the infamous and world famous San Diego Zoo. Quite expensive to get into that zoo. No discounts or anything ever, any of the time. But because it's privately owned, I actually found this out from someone in Los Angeles a couple years ago. It's privately owned, so I don't get any help from the city or the state to run it. So that's why it's so expensive. It's like $75 to get into a zoo for the whole day. I mean, they aren't messing around. But since it's privately owned, they supposedly take some of that money and go and do animal research and conservation, things that city or state funded zoos or nationally funded zoos might not have the funds to do. And this was a weekday. I made sure I went on a weekday so it wouldn't be as crowded, and there were quite a few people there. So even at that entrance fee level, they still do quite well. And it's not necessarily this standout, blow you away, greatest zoo I've ever been to. You know, I mean, it's nice. It's huge. You walk around, you can spend a whole day there. They got these little sky lift things, and I spent about 6 hours there, wanting to get my money's worth, and it was great. But I noticed, hey, the L.A. Zoo, even to a lesser extent, the San Francisco Zoo, the zoo in San Antonio. I would even say the San Antonio Zoo was nicer than this zoo, but it's not, it's not privately owned. So, and of course, and not doing the research and stuff. I mean, San Diego's got the world renowned, animal research facilities and stuff like that. So, just for the average person walking around seeing the zoo, it's much like any other zoo is. But if you're into if you're behind the animal research and stuff like that, then this zoo would be more prominent and better perhaps than just about any other one you've been to. More from the San Diego Zoo. This is a leopard or something. It was fairly close to me. Let me see, I was at 60 millimeters, so I wasn't too far away. Only issue with this photo, of course, I had to take it through that chain link fence. But if you ignore that fence, you've got a nice, great shot of a spotted leopard. And you just think that for as much money as people pay to get into these zoos, this zoo, that the habitat areas, the animals would be like these super nice, penthouse cages or something. But they're not necessarily. They're no better or worse than a bad zoo might be in. Now, they would probably beg to differ, but I've been to a lot of zoos, and they live in, average surroundings, which I'm sure is fine for them. But when I paid, that much money to get into a zoo, I thought these animals were going to be eating off of gold plates and, I don't know, sleeping on water beds. This picture, this is the jewel in the crown, as it were, for the San Diego Zoo. They've got the giant panda, and there were two of them. And this picture is weird because I had to take it through glass from sort of a ways back too. I had a focal length with 162 millimeters, and if it hadn't been for me messing around with my post-production editing software for quite some time with this picture, it would never have come out even looking this good. It was in questionable shape when I transferred it over to my computer. But I thought there was going to be no way to salvage it, and that would have been a shame because that's one of the main things at the San Diego Zoo is that they have these. But I was able to save this picture enough to where I like it and prove that I was there and include it in this photo presentation. The other one, the mate, I guess it is, of this giant panda was all the way on the other side of the habitat, sitting down on its butt, eating, the bamboo shoots or something, but it was eating them like they do. And this one was asleep up on the little, that was above the ground, that wood thing. It was kind of like a pallet up in the air it was sleeping on. So the other one was on the ground, so wasn't conducive to getting a good picture of. But this is a unique thing about that zoo, certainly, and I think just about everyone knows that too. And this is the last picture of the 10 of this part 3. It's just a bear, black bear. I think these might be the bears that are native to California, that roam around in the woods, the forest there. Not sure. They had a few different kinds of bears, like any zoo worth its salt would have. And but that I got a good shot of it on a log in the sunlight. And yeah, even though I guess it was September I was there, and sure, yeah, it was warm out. I had to stop because and of course, a lot of walking, and and it was but it was kind of warm out. I mean, that picture looks like it's hot outside, but of course, you're in California, which has a Mediterranean climate, so nothing gets really as hot as like where I live, or the deep south, or anything like that. But it can have its days, and so I definitely picked one of the. It was a warm day at the zoo. It was almost a relief to leave after 6 hours and walk the good distance I had to get the bus, which easily connected. You get on the bus because this zoo's in Balboa Park. Just get on the bus, and 15 minutes later I was back downtown. But I think that's a pretty good picture. Now I don't know if I'll add any more photos to this series later. It might depend on how many views I get on it or something. But that is the end of part 3 of my San Diego photography series.